Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. The Treasurer has handed down his 6th state budget, admitting he was forced to make tough decisions, but it's the budget he's most proud of. As expected, the government spent big on infrastructure, but it's been forced to make significant savings across the public sector. Our reporter Michelle Wisby has been in the budget lockup today. Good evening, Michelle. The Treasurer had a few surprises to deal with.
That's right, Joe. We know the Treasurer did face some significant obstacles in the lead up to this budget, including $500 million less money in the bank than was originally expected. Now, we have already spoken to some advocates who say they've been underwhelmed by the budget. We did see funding increases for health and education, but they were not the centre point of the plan. Let's take a look now at how the day all unfolded. Tasmania has gone from being on the cusp of a golden age to maintaining momentum. That's if you ask the Treasurer. Today, he handed down the state budget, as promised, spending big on infrastructure. But not everything was as the Treasurer planned.
This budget's the budget that I'm most proud of. This budget's been framed at a time when we have lost $500 million in revenue.
That loss coming from changes to GST and stamp duty, also from the summer bushfires costing $64 million and rising. The budget in surplus for the next 4 years, $57.4 million next year. But the government is taking on net debt, $1.1 billion by 2022-23. The Treasurer labelling this modest and manageable.
What we've decided to do unashamedly is to step up to the plate and to invest more into infrastructure, to build the roads and bridges, to build the dams, to build the schools, the hospitals that we need.
The government forced to introduce an efficiency dividend on the public sector in an attempt to make $450 million in savings to make up for the revenue shortfall, but promising not to make any cuts from frontline services.
We'll look at consultants, we'll look at advertising, we'll look at promotion, travel and transport as a starting point. We'll have targeted vacancy control, and importantly we'll look at natural attrition.
Also, there will be a new point of consumption tax on wagering at a rate of 15% next year. Some cuts also coming from government business enterprises. Turning to health, $8.1 billion will be spent over the next 4 years, $1.96 billion coming in 2019-20. There will be more beds as well as more funding for Ambulance Tasmania. Stage 2 of the Royal Hobart Hospital also funded, but less than $2 million is for next year. There will also be additional beds and staffing. This year's spend only slightly more than in previous years, despite increasing demand. In education, the total spend over 4 years is $7.1 million, including $34 million to support children with a disability and improve TASTAFE facilities. Also, upgrades to early learning was a big winner, and continued funding for high schools extending to Year 12. In infrastructure, the total spend will be $3.6 billion. $1.6 billion of this will be for roads and bridges, while the rest for hospitals, schools and other facilities. Work will also start on the new Bridgewater Bridge next year, to be completed in 2024. And in justice, there's $16.8 million in additional funding for the prison service, money for the Ashley Youth Detention Centre and continued funding to help children in out-of-home care. Also money to go towards making the Police Special Operation Group full-time and a new magistrate and Supreme Court judge. But Labor has called the budget arrogant and staggering.
They've got $450 million worth of cuts to agencies, health, education and other services that they can't explain. Tasmanians would be right to shake their heads today and ask what has gone wrong.
It is a climate denier's budget. It cuts funding to the Climate Change Office, cuts funding for climate action within 2 years' time, cuts funding for threatened species.
Despite this, the Treasurer sticking to his line that the government is investing for growth. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
While this year's budget is being hailed by business leaders, the social sector says it's been seriously let down. Unions claiming the Treasurer has created a gaping hole in a budget which they say lacks credibility.
It may be maintaining the momentum, but it's a budget rejected by the social sector.
Today's budget shows us the state government is in denial. It's in denial of the fact that people in this state are falling behind faster than we've ever seen before.
TASCOS saying the social support initiatives in today's budget are already basic priorities.
Obviously, we always welcome those announcements, but we should expect our government to be funding those essential services.
National Disability Services says it's highly disappointed that it doesn't support the thousands of Tasmanians living with a disability or those working to support them.
And virtually there's been no increase and no spend within the disability sector locally, and that unfortunately is going to have some terrible repercussions for Tasmanians.
Promised funding for the Royal Hobart Hospital welcomed by the Australian Medical Association.
The good thing that any money in health is good money. We're seeing funding for the redevelopment of the Royal Hobart Hospital Stage 2, interestingly silence on Stage 3.
And with the ongoing debate about public sector wages, it's a budget the unions were never likely to embrace.
For public sector workers, the Hodgman government's message today is you can have a wage cut, I'm going to cut your colleagues, and for the next 4 years services will go backwards further than they already are.
With the health sector experiencing continued issues, the health union says the government hasn't provided a remedy today which can fix it.
We think that the budget is well over $100 million short across the Department of Health.
The RACT not gifted any surprises, but happy there's a date set for one of Tasmania's most promised pieces of infrastructure.
We do actually see a date for the finalisation of the build of the Bridgewater Bridge, which is something that we have been calling for a long period of time.
Small Business Council embracing this budget as smooth sailing for its members.
It's really about paying it forward. It's building infrastructure that will actually meet the needs of our community and our business sector for many years to come.
But those smooth seas do come with a warning from regional businesses.
We've got to make sure that those jobs and that infrastructure build is available to local business people in those areas.
Claims though announcements around roads and rail is overshadowing funding for the climate.
We know that these natural disasters like the fires we saw over summer are going to get worse. And the government's plan for that appears to be surprised by these disasters as they become more frequent.
The tourism industry happy to be riding Tasmania's wave of popularity, embracing a regional attraction loan scheme, saying that will stimulate new experiences in regional areas. Also welcoming the extra funding for the West Coast Wilderness Railway. And with the sun going down on another budget day, the suspense is over for another year. Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
We're joined now live by Treasurer Peter GUTWEIN. Good evening, Treasurer. We've heard big savings need to be made across the public sector. Does that mean job losses for frontline staff?
Well, Joe, look, I've been clear about that in terms of the efficiency dividend, it'll only be 0.75 of 1%. It will target consultants, advertising and promotion. It will look at vacancy control and natural attrition. But in terms of this budget, we framed it in the context of losing $500 million worth of revenue, and we framed it up to maintain momentum and invest for growth, and that's exactly what it will do.
Can I ask you about infrastructure? That does appear to be your big ticket item for this budget. Why infrastructure?
Well, we unashamedly are investing record amounts, $3.6 billion into infrastructure to build the schools, the hospitals, the roads, the bridges, the dams, the affordable housing that Tasmanians need and want, because that will drive the economy. And in driving the economy, it will create jobs and generate the revenues that we need to invest the record amounts that we're investing into health, into education and into affordable housing.
Well, there is concern this budget is simply too harsh on vulnerable Tasmanians. How do you answer that?
Well, in this budget, we're also introducing the new Strategic Growth Initiative, which is designed to provide a hand up to those Tasmanians that need some assistance, especially in regional areas, by ensuring that we can link them into the strong infrastructure build that we've got to make certain that right around the state, Tasmanians feel the benefits of our growing economy. But the best thing that we can do for anyone in this state is to ensure that we provide them with the opportunity of a job, and this budget underpins the creation of 10,000 new jobs.
All right, Treasurer, thank you very much for your time this evening. A cigarette butt is believed to be the likely culprit behind a fire which ripped through a campaign truck belonging to a One Nation candidate. The ute, carrying signs for Senate hopeful Adam Lambert, went up in flames at the Shoreline car park last Sunday. What was initially suspected to be an arson attack sparked outrage from all corners of politics, including Pauline Hanson, who accused the left for being above the law. But today, police said there is no evidence a crime has been committed, as CCTV footage revealed no signs of suspicious activity. A Tasmanian company says it's looking forward to harvesting its first ever crop of medicinal cannabis for the export market. Tasmanian Botanics received the final permit earlier this month to begin growing at a confidential site.
We're looking to get product in the greenhouse basically straight away now. A permit's been issued, and we'd hope to have that product harvested during August, with our first shipment overseas going end of August, early September.
The company is able to produce roughly 8 tonnes of product, but hopes to expand to 50 tonnes over the coming 5 years. Climate change and balancing visitors with conservation are the major talking points of this year's Tasmanian Tourism Conference. Roughly 350 delegates from across the industry gathered in Launceston today to share ideas and tackle the challenges ahead.
Again, we're having a major focus later in the day about climate change, and I guess we all lived and experienced the impact of that over summer as an industry with the fires, and I guess we've got to also be mindful about the challenges and the threats that are on our horizon.
Industry leaders are also calling on politicians not to use tourism as a political football after election promises for Mona and the AFL became a battleground in the recent election. One of Scottsdale's favourite football families is about to celebrate another milestone. NICHOLS will play game number 200 this weekend, but he's still catching up to the mark left by his father.
Father and son sharing a kick and a hefty slice of northeast footy history. This weekend will be game number 200 for NICHOLS when Scottsdale plays South Launceston.
Try and treat it like any other game, I suppose. I'm not sort of used to all this sort of stuff going on, but yeah, big moment, I suppose. 200 games.
But he's got some catching up to do. His father Stephen's played a whopping 309 games for the club. Not that the former coach says his son needs any pointers.
Oh no, no. Enjoy his game. Enjoy the atmosphere. It'll be a big day for him.
Just don't ask who's best on ground between the pair.
He's a good player. We'll leave it there.
Stephen is part of local football folklore.
In front was Nichols. Great play by Stephen Nichols, still carrying the ball along in front of him. The loose ball comes clear towards Spears. He steadies, kicks up the ball to the full forward line, and he's... Oh, great goal, kicked by Spears.
Having claimed numerous flags for his beloved Magpies.
The pack, and here's Nichols gaining possession.
Most notably the famous 1973 state premiership, where the side flew from Launceston to Burnie.
There was a bit of a if and go as to whether we was going to be able to land. Yeah, the story is they seen a bit of a break in the clouds and dove down, and we sort of got there, but probably nearly been quicker to drive, but you know, a bit of fun at the time.
Only time will tell if Lee can match his father's impressive record.
The body sort of takes a long time to recover from a game of footy these days, so yeah, we'll just see how we go.
But what about getting Nichols Senior back on the ground?
Nichols controls the ball, oh, tackle from behind.
Well, the club president has a few ideas about that.
And another goal to the Magpies.
Well, I did hear that there was a rumour that he might sign up, but seeing as he hasn't played for about 12 years, we might have to bring him back through the reserves, so...
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
The curtains have been raised at Launceston College with the inaugural Australian Musical Theatre Festival kicking off on centre stage. A jam-packed program of workshops and performances is on offer, shining a light on the latest talent emerging from Tasmania.
Stars in the making, learning from the best in the business, practicing their moves and taking part in a brand new festival, said to be the first in the country.
We have a packed program of workshops, masterclasses, big shows at the Princess Theatre, and also we're supporting a new Australian musical to be developed, which is really exciting.
The 4-day event has received funding from the state government and will be hosted in Launceston for the next 5 years.
We're really showing that with the people that are working on this festival, the passionate people coming in from interstate and from within other areas of Tasmania, just really willing to get on board. So it's so exciting that it's in Launceston.
One renowned Tasmanian actor has worked closely behind the scenes to bring the festival to life.
I've got to tell you, working in the industry like I do, there are some great Tasmanians out there. We bat way above our average. We've got some very talented people, and that little stretch of water to the Big Island can affect us sometimes. This time we're bringing the professionals and all the talent and the skill sharing down here.
The organisers are aiming to cement Tasmania as a musical theatre hotspot.
This is a perfect excuse for people in this industry or who love musical theatre to come and discover how fantastic our state is.
And plenty of tickets are still available.
Yeah, they're strong, but we still have spots available in all our workshops so far. And our big shows at the Princess, we've got a huge capacity there, so the more the merrier.
The spotlight will shine at various venues across the city until Sunday. Ruby COMMANE, 7 Tasmanian News.
Young Tasmanians are being taught skills that could one day save their lives in the Royal Life-Saving Tasmania Water Safety Program. Students from around the state have taken part, with Herdsman's Cove Primary School having its turn on the program's final day today. More than 60 pre-Year 2 students from the school were learning how to be safe in, on and around water. The program ran for 2 weeks. A trailer has been released for a highly anticipated thriller set in Tasmania. The Nightingale tells the story of an Irish convict seeking revenge for a murder in Van Diemen's Land during the 1820s. One critic has described the film as a brutal serving of Tasmanian Gothic.
That's just the way, isn't it? You don't want trouble, but sometimes trouble wants you.
The Nightingale is expected to be released in August.
Lauderdale coach Darren Winter says his side still doesn't get the proper respect from other clubs, despite being one of the best performers this season. While Clarence will have their work cut out for them this Saturday against the rampaging North Launceston. Coming off another impressive win against the Blues, the Southern Bombers have dropped just the one game this season, and Winter says it's time other clubs started treating them accordingly.
Because I think everybody thinks they can come in and they're going to beat us, so I don't think we've probably generated that respect. We're a top 3 team, but we probably don't get treated that way.
Hosting North Hobart this Saturday, Winter says his men will need to tread carefully after the young D's took a ride up to an informed Glenorchy.
We certainly won't take them lightly this time around, and we'll try and put a lot more pressure on them at the start of the game so they don't get that quick start on us again.
Colin Garland's curse run at North Hobart continues, with a former AFL recruit expected to miss around a month with a hamstring injury.
It's frustrating for him, I know, because it's he wants to be out there playing good footy, and he was trying to get everything right to play at the top level again. And obviously when we played against North Lonnie, he showed just his capability and the presence he has on the field.
The club was expecting to have Tasmania Devils young guns Jai Menzies and Paddy Walker available for the clash, but AFL Tasmania has instead decided to give them a rest until the Devils' next NAB League match on June 1.
It's probably the second time now they have had an opportunity where they could potentially come back to their TSL clubs, and again we miss out on those young boys being part of our group.
Coming off the bye, Clarence are still searching for answers following an underwhelming start to the season, but not many will be giving them a chance to capture just their second win of the year up against the competition's benchmark side in North Launceston at Blunston Arena.
It's going to come together. We knew that this was going to happen, but it's going to click. It's just a matter of time, so we just need to keep working on it, keep investing in it, and it'll turn. I'm sure it will.
The State League Netball and Crips are facing one of their biggest tests of the season, taking on last year's premiers, the Northern Hawks, this Saturday in Launceston. Crips are currently sitting just inside the top 4 with 3 wins and 3 losses, with Hawks coming off an 11-point win over Arrows.
It's going to be a game where we need to be playing our best netball. This is definitely it. In terms of game style, they're very quick, they're very skilled, so I think we need to make sure that we're not getting stuck into...
Ball also makes its way to St Helens this weekend, with the Cavaliers hoping to keep their undefeated run alive against Kingston.
They've definitely got a couple of players back that they didn't have when we played them last time, so we'll definitely be wary of that, but we definitely also believe in what we've been practicing.
In the weekend's other match, Arrows will be out to continue their impressive season against the winless Devon. And finally tonight, it's been a victorious weekend for Launceston's Amy Lamprecht, who took out first place in a gruelling ultramarathon in New South Wales. She did it easy in her 5th attempt at the 100-kilometre epic, beating the second place getter by 1 hour.
Amy Lamprecht taking out the women's top prize in the Ultra Trail Australia on Saturday night, out of 1,500 competitors from across the globe.
It was a relief to finish, obviously, because it's such a long day, but just to have done so well was a real thrill. I was really chuffed with it. I'm pretty tired and it's going to take me a while to get over it.
In her 5th attempt, Amy completed the demanding track in just over 11 hours and crossed the finish line 1 hour before French racer Angelique Plaire.
Yeah, that was a real shock actually, because I was just expecting them to come up on me the whole time. So yeah, that was just a real shock.
The marathon spans 100 kilometres across the scenic Blue Mountains in New South Wales. But she says the picturesque view was the last thing on her mind.
You know, it's a beautiful place, but unfortunately I spend a lot of time looking at the ground and trying not to fall over. So the sightseeing's done before and after mostly for me, yeah.
And her training partner of 7 years, Paul Wright, has stuck by her side throughout her journey.
She's given inspiration to a lot of people, helped keep the dream alive. It's all through commitment, perseverance, because she's been over 5 times and she's finally achieved what she set out to do. So we're all extremely proud of her.
Ruby COMMANE, 7 Tasmanian News.
Evening. Well, we just can't seem to push back into the 20s at the moment. 19 the top again today at a number of places, including Flinders Island, Bushy Park, Grove and Friendly Beaches. Hobart 18, Launceston 16, Burnie 15 and Devonport 14 degrees. The overnight low was -3 at Fingal, but most temperatures were around or above average today. St Helens 18, Ouse and King Island 17, Strawn a top of 16, Lowhead 15 today and Lyoweeney 10. There is mid to low level cloud over the west and north of the state, while high cloud thickened over southern parts this afternoon. And a band of cloud extends from southwest WA to our west coast. Mid to low level cloud covers most of Queensland, the top end and parts of New South Wales. The winds tomorrow mostly northwesterly at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots over the south and west, and for other waters later in the day, swells to 5 metres in southern waters. We have a strong wind warning from southeast Cape up and around and back down to Wineglass Bay, covering a good portion of the coastline. So for tomorrow, Hobart, a shower or two developing, 19 the top, 18 for Huonville, a possible shower for Campania and 19 degrees. Showers in the north, Launceston 16, 17 the top for Devonport, a windy day for Georgetown as well and 16 the high. Burnie showers and 16, 15 for Strawn, Wynyard showers as well and 16 degrees, showers developing in the east. 18 the top for St Helens and Swansea, 19 for Port Arthur. On Saturday, showers across the state, more prominent falls over the north and west. Showers extending across Tasmania during the day on Sunday as well. Snowfalls above 700 metres, and on Monday a similar pattern should exist with fresh and gusty southwest to northwest winds. A possible light shower tomorrow in Perth and Adelaide, a showery 19 degrees in Melbourne, sunny though in Canberra and Sydney, and of course a fine day in Brisbane and 24 degrees. Cloudy in Hobart, it's 14, 13 right now in Launceston, Devonport currently 12 degrees. Joe, the Hawks will be in town tomorrow, of course playing on Saturday afternoon. If you're heading to UTAS Stadium, the game's early, 1:45, so you can watch that game and then watch the big game between the Swans and Collingwood. With Buddy back and Collingwood with all their injuries, I reckon the Swans are a chance.
Not interested in that game, but thank you very much for that, Murph. All right, that's all from the news team for now. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.
Buying stuff they cannot. I like drinking hard, maxing dad's credit card. I like skipping gym, scaring her.